You're listening to Combat Radio with Ethan Dettenmeyer, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Hey, joining us now is our good friend, also an interesting guy. Everyone's interesting today, people. Tyson Saner. Tyson, how are you?
Hello, everybody. How are we today?
We're good.
I still haven't figured out that greeting yet. Oh well.
You know what? Hold on. I got to turn down my headset.
The greeting? Tyson, what greeting are we discussing here now?
Well, it's weird. When I say hello, I tend to want to say more, but all I can manage is, how are we today? And that's usually my follow-up thought. I don't know why. I want to say, hey, and strike up the band or anything like that. But
that's a good one right there.
Hey,
strike up the band.
From now on, your intro is strike up the band.
Yeah.
Konnichiwa. See, now we're going on a tirade. All right, maybe not.
The most interesting man joining us.
Yes. Tyson. You're on with screenwriter Carl Gottlieb, Tom Vittorino, Mark Ryan, otherwise known as the Big Robot Bumblebee.
Oh, it's a great honor. It's awesome.
No, it's awesome having you back. I wanted to include Carl in this part of the conversation because you've got a movie to review. I'll just turn it over to you. Go. What do you got, Tyson Saner?
Well, I thought maybe we would talk a little bit about House on Haunted Hill today, unless there was something else.
No, that's it. We actually opened the show with that intro, the intro to the film, the original.
Oh, yes.
Film. Yeah, William Castle. Did you ever meet William Castle, Carl?
Yes, I did.
You did?
Yes.
How was he to meet?
He was darkly cynical about audiences. They existed to be manipulated.
Pull your mic a little. I don't want I can't have anyone miss your conversation. My mic, not so much of a big deal, but you got to pull your mic closer.
Okay.
There you go. Get comfortable. You got to really jump on this thing.
The William Castle is the guy who invented the tingler. He actually would partially electrocute members of the audience in order to give them a shocking feeling during the course of the movie. If the theme was electromechanical, he would wire the theater.
Yeah, he there was definitely a stroke of showmanship with him. I mean, I love that we were talking earlier about how he'd have ambulances outside the theater just to kind of in case someone had a heart attack. And he had, what is it, Tyson, you've probably read up on him. He had a fright break where one of the movies he stopped it. The movie stops at like the last 10 minutes and says the final 10 minutes of this film are so frightening. You now have the option to leave. Or you know what he did he also he produced, if I'm not mistaken, Rosemary's Baby, and was really kind of confused on the Polanski decision to, the Robert Emmons hire Polanski to direct. I mean, that's kind of how he exited the business. Is like, who is this guy? And you're laughing.
No, because William Castle was very old school. He came from that legendary troupe of showmen who would four-wall theaters. They'd make a movie for $1.50.
Yeah.
They'd rent theaters where they would keep all the receipts. They would blow into a town, saturate the radio market with cheap spots, kind of Sunday.
Yeah, Guitar Center, yeah.
And then get in, get out. And they'd do these films that nobody would ever go back to see, but you'd never get an opportunity. They were there once and they'd move on, like a snake oil show.
What was the movie? He did a film, maybe you guys know. He did a film, and it's actually really well done on the Castle level, where he had a man playing a woman playing a man. And that's the psycho who...
Oh, my God.
You know the movie I'm talking about?
No, I'm tapping at my little iPhone now, looking...
Everyone's bringing up the... But,
oh, yeah, I'm looking at stuff, too, here, trying to find it.
What is that movie? Do you guys know? Mark, do you know?
A man playing a woman playing a man.
No, but it's brilliant because at the end when they show in all the in credits, they come out. They have like a split screen where he comes out as the.
The one I didn't get was in a film called Freebie and the Bean, which was one of my favourite films with James Carnell Narkin. Did you see a film called Freebie and the Bean?
I remember
it's a William Castle movie.
Alan Arkin was in Freebie and the Bean.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, one of the funniest moments. I almost fell off out of the seat, choking with laughter, where they crashed the car off the freeway in San Francisco, and it goes into the old couple's bedroom, and there they are with their car parked literally. I thought that was the funniest thing.
I think we're getting a little off topic.
Anyway, I mean, not that I 63 feature film, Shanks, Project X, Busybody, Let's Kill Uncle Before Uncle Kills Us, I Saw What You Did, The Nightwalker, Straitjacket, Old Dark House, 13 Frightened Girls, Zots, Mr. Sardonicus, Homicidal, 13 Ghosts, The Tingler, that's the one we're talking about.
Right.
House on Haunted Hill, Macabre, A Man with a Camera, Target, The Californians, Men of Annapolis, Science Fiction Theater, Uranium Boom, The Houston Story, A Man Called X, Duel on the Mississippi, The Gun That Won the West, The Americano, Masterson of Kansas, Law versus Billy the Kid. He did everything. The Iron Glove, Drums of Tahiti, Jesse James versus the Daltons, Battle of Rogue River, Charge of the Lancers, Slaves of Babylon.
That's a title. Slaves of Babylon. That's a hit.
Yeah. I like the 13 frightened girls. That's the
Johnny Stool Pigeon.
Was Johnny Stool Pigeon? Johnny
sorry.
Stool Pigeon.
That's a fantastic one.
That's hilarious. Is that now? Is House on Haunted Hill? That's the movie that he shot in what he called like emergic. What is it, emergico? Or he had some kind of word for it, where a skeleton would come out from a hiding place in the theater at the point when the skeleton in the movie comes out, or something the movie.
He was big on interpreting real-world effects into the cinema experience. Like I said, he would put electric, shockers in the seats. So the insurance company said, you can't do that. You're going to kill somebody, and then it's going to cost us a lot of money.
But see, that in itself, he would make some marketing thing out of this. This movie I've been warned by insurance. I think he actually did that, where you could take out an insurance policy on the audience.
Exactly.
Didn't he do that once?
Yeah, on House on Haunted Hill, he says, see it with someone with warmer hands.
Tyson, let's turn it over to you for a minute. Tell us about the film itself. House on Haunted Hill, the original, of course, with
Vincent Price, Richard Long, Carol O'Mart,
Elijah Cook
Jr., yes.
Well, it's the millionaire invites people to a house for a party that is supposedly the idea of his wife, as he introduces in the beginning of the film, with the technique of using the floating head superimposed over the establishing shot of the house, which makes it kind of eerie right from the gate. I mean, even before that, you hear the screaming, which in my version of the movie, I don't know, it probably happened in theater as well, but that scream comes in complete darkness. There's no titles or anything when you hear that first scream. I believe the technology was called Emergo.
Emergo, that's what I was trying to think of. Emergo, that's what.
Go ahead.
No. I'm just, you'd hit the name on the head. That's exactly what I was trying to recall. I knew he called it something. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, and a plastic skeleton would fly over the audience at the appropriate time. And having seen the film, I can imagine when that would have occurred.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have seen this film lately. Turner Classic Movies runs it every October, but I'm pretty sure the skeleton is credited as himself on it, and I'm being serious. I think the skeleton. He's the last credit on the credits for the cast. It says skeleton as himself or something.
That's hilarious. I'm going to have to look that one up. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm willing to bet that's what. One of the reasons we're talking about this is we did a broadcast, and you'll be able to catch elements of it on our YouTube channel, Combat Radio Images, from the House on Haunted Hill, where we were trying to put together. And I got to bring Marcus in for this part, but we're trying to put together a screening of House on Haunted Hill at the House on Haunted Hill, which was, designed by Frank Lloyd Wright and is now like $6 million into renovations. The thing is just massive, but more on that in a few minutes. But go ahead, back to the movie, Tyson.
Well, I was just going to say there's a great homage to William Castle, the film Matinee, directed by Joe Dante back in 1993, which I've seen a few times, and it really captures that coming into town and setting up the road show and getting people into that, that one-of-a-kind experience in the movie theater that you really can't get from watching a movie at home unless you've got the appropriate props and whatnot. But Matinee, has anybody seen that movie?
Matinee? No, I haven't seen it, but isn't that based on him?
It's complete. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to think it's not a compilation film. It's not like Grindhouse where they're giving a matinee. It's just a matinee of this particular show, right? The film within a film, right?
Yes, it does have the film within the film. Absolutely. It's got the setup and having to clear everything with the theater managers and the elaborate preparations that go in, and it's set during the Cuban Missile Crisis. So there's a definite air of, I guess you could say, menace in the air in it, but it's generally kind of a lighthearted family comedy with some really great drama in it. But I'm sorry, getting back to House on Haunted Hill, I'm sorry, did you have a question about that, Ethan, or was there a specific something?
No. Go ahead, I'm just listening. So obviously,
little bits of I enjoyed the movie. I like the little coffins that the pistols are kept in. That's a cute little.
It's not a great movie, and if you were to watch it, when you get to the end, you realize that it doesn't always add up. But it's one of those movies you almost have to kind of see, and it's tough not to really enjoy it. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's got great things in it, and it's always fun to watch Vincent Price. I never get tired of, watching him do his thing. I don't know how else to put it,
Well, he's got two classic lines in the film, if I remember them right. And one is like, where they're getting a tour of the house by like Watson Pritchard, who's like, the big, this house, the only people that are happy here are the ghosts. Anyway, he gives them a tour of the house, and there's like blood on the ceiling that leaks on one of the guests' hands, one of the women's hands, and the Pritchard character goes, "They've marked you." And she's like, "Oh please, who would want to haunt me?" And Vincent Price goes, "Well, I would think any well-respected male ghost." That line. And that's, we were talking earlier about another line where he's talking with his wife, and there's contention, and he goes, "Remember the fun we had when you poisoned me? Tried to poison me?" She goes, "Yeah, something you ate." The doctor said, and he goes, and he chuckles, and he's like, "Yes, arsenic on the rocks." It's just like, Vincent Price, he has a delivery style that, is clearly all his own. And I guess he's homaged pretty good in this new Tim Burton Frankenweenie. He worked with Burton on Edward Scissorhands, so I think they were friends. You had said that, you said you'd met William Castle. Did he, he want you to write something?
No,
Tiny Little Shark picture, perhaps?
No, way before those days, I was an editor, associate editor, junior editor of a movie industry trade publication for exhibitors, an exhibitor paper. So in my role in the trade press, I'd go out to meet whoever was promoting their films, because the exhibitors wanted to know how the campaign would affect them, what the extent of the campaign would be. Mm-hmm. So producers like William Castle would come in and tell us about how they were going to saturate the market, or how they had these plans for local promotions that would involve the beauty queens and the hot rod associations and the haunted houses and whatever it was that could hype their productions. And that was, then we would report that to the trade press, and they would evaluate how much local money they would put into the picture, and whether they'd give it a good play date, and those kind of technical issues.
So you weren't in position to really discuss the guy's films.
We never talked cinema.
13 Ghosts, what was your problem? Or, because that's kind of, they've remade that one too.
The iron law of cinemas, I think, the iron law of sequels, I think I explained the last show. Only the last one loses money.
Right.
Yeah. But in those days, the trade press was important, and we spoke to our individual constituencies, whether it was theater owners or chain, theater owners or theater bookers, and there was no such thing as a bad movie. You couldn't say as a critic that a film was bad.
No.
But you said the code for the worst film you've ever seen was, you would say, suitable for the lower half of a twin bill action feature in non-discriminating market.
That was a kinder, gentler press there. Yeah.
Yeah, well put for sure.
That's a backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
So Tyson, in seeing the film, is this one you could recommend? I mean, what do you think overall?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, see it with a reserved judgment, with a sense of humor that it's definitely got throughout it. It's got some pretty decent twists in it, and I don't know. Is enough time gone by that I could add a observation that might be considered a spoiler?
Yeah, I think everyone's either seen it or.
Well, Elijah Cook at the beginning, when he has this little voiceover, talks about how he was barely alive when they found him. And as I'm watching the movie, I kept waiting for some payoff to that, and I realized, I guess he was just probably, because he starts drinking about halfway through the film, the character does, Watson Pritchard. So I'm guessing he probably had drunk himself into a stupor when they quote unquote, found him.
Well, the movie does center around cocktails quite a bit.
Oh, yes.
You notice. I mean, they're constantly going back to the bar in that film, which that's one of the elements I like.
I like this movie.
There's already. There's also, I mean, I don't know if I'm reaching on this, but there also seems to be a slight gun control message in the film when he presents them with party favors, the little coffins, and there's 45s in them. And basically they all go into sort of a different sort of diatribe on how dangerous guns are. Guns, don't solve any problems, and I mean, you can easily make and it's even, and Vincent Price even demonstrates. He's like, I'm sure you all know how this works. Fairly easy, actually. Pick it up, pull back this lever, and bang. It's kind of like showing, illustrating how easy it is to pick up a gun, and it's interesting.
As a cast gift on the first day of shooting of Liz Taylor and Richard Burton's movie in Mexico, John Huston gave each member of the cast a pistol.
Excellent.
Wow.
A real gun.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
I'm not sure what message that sends. But
After the film, everybody shoots each other, and it saves them having to pay everybody's,
were they?
bar tab.
Had they already been divorced once, or?
Yeah, it was a tempestuous relationship. What's the name of the girl in that Lolita? There was a young woman in that.
Oh yes, I'll find it.
Our researchers are on it, Carl.
Yeah.
But they give them all guns.
Yeah. Yeah, they real guns are just, and it was I guess it was Mexico primarily. I guess you could say it was for self-defense in the wild and woolly beach town of
Puerto Vallarta.
Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sue Lyon is the name.
Sue Lyon. Yes.
And what was the film?
The film was Sue Lyon. Help me out. Black and white film.
I'm
John Huston.
Okay.
The researchers are at it.
Tyson's on it right now.
Yep.
One of those
mention
John
it.
Huston films. I know which one it wasn't. Wasn't Victory. Wasn't it wouldn't be Sierra Madre. Wouldn't be The Dead.
No.
Would it be Night of the Iguana?
Perhaps
And Night of the Iguana.
Night of the Iguana.
Night of the Iguana.
There you go.
There he's got it. Yeah, so
Awesome.
I would say actually see House on Haunted Hill. I think it's a pretty fun movie. It's not
Absolutely.
like I said, it's not gonna, if you're a real logical film, watching enthusiast, you're gonna have problems with it because they're all through the movie. Lance Schroeder, test pilot, whatever it is. The fact that it's like a conspiracy, but it's one of those movies like I cannot turn it off. When Robert Osborne introduces it, the movie's on for the next hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm in. I know how it ends. I know the story. I know the skeleton is credited as skeleton. I'm gonna watch the entire thing. So
I would recommend a double feature with Murder by Death.
Murder by Death is a good one
Death.
as well. That actually make a great stage play, I think. Murder by Death.
Oh yeah.
You familiar with Murder by Death, Carl?
Refresh my memory.
Truman Capote hosts a dinner party where all like Peter Sellers is Charlie Chan, David Nevin and Maggie Smith are the Thin Man couple.
Sounds very arch. I'm afraid.
Neil Simon.
Yeah.
What did he ever do? What did Neil Simon ever do?
It sounds like one of those lost treasures. One of those things that when you're flipping around the channels, or on TCM, or you're looking through Netflix or watching for something you haven't seen before, and you go, all right, Murder by Death, Neil Simon, look at this cast. That's something that modern media permits you to do. It's not like you have to wait for it to show up at the museum. I love that fact that now that you've put this movie in my head, I can go home and find it.
Yeah.
And watch it.
Yeah.
And
When you're done with Sons of Anarchy, Carl,
just a
put on Murder by Death. Put on a little Neil Simon.
It's a segue. It's a natural transition.
Alec Guinness plays a blind butler, et cetera,
yes.
et cetera.
Peter Falk doing probably one of the best Humphrey Bogarts that I've ever heard.
Yeah, he does do a good Humphrey Bogart. He does it better than Bogart does.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, check that one. Okay, so that's 2 recommendations, but House on Haunted Hill is a must. They remade House on Haunted Hill, but it doesn't really, I think, deliver, personally.
So the one that we're talking about here, the one that gets the Combat Radio stamp of approval, is the original House on Haunted Hill
Right.
with Vincent Price.
Yes.
And it is a weighty
Yes.
stamp of approval.
Yes, that is a heavy stamp of approval.
Yeah.
Combat Radio puts a stamp of approval on the House on Haunted Hill by William Castle, but in part because you can't help but be, struck by the showmanship that was William Castle. The ambulances in the lobby, the stopping the film to warn people. You gotta love all that.
The overall ambiance of the filmmaker.
Who thinks to install like those little, what do you call it? Those electroshock devices in every theater seat for the tingler.
The Tingler, yes.
It's unreal. Yeah, it's unreal. Look up William Castle. He also produced Rosemary's
Now
Baby.
people are shocked by the popcorn prices. That's the shocking thing about theaters now.
And yeah, exactly, and shocking indeed. Okay, we'll be right back. Everyone, hang tight.
You're listening to Combat Radio with Ethan Dettenmeyer, right here on LA Talk Radio.